What is up, everybody? This is Jesse with Keeping It Real Finance, channel that always has your back, tells it like it is. Well, today's video is going to be your Jasmy Weekly update. Been a little bit quiet this week. Haven't heard a whole lot from Hara, haven't heard a whole lot from the team. What does it mean, right? We're going to be going down the road of a little bit of speculation, maybe in the final thoughts. I'm going to be taking a good look at the chart. We're going to be looking at the holders, as well as some key dates that are kind of right around the corner that are coming here in February and March. We got some big things coming for Jasmy, so stick around for that. So as always, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit the like button. If this is your first time on the channel, make sure to subscribe. And if you click the bell, you'll be made aware whenever I post time-sensitive content just like this. And now, let's get it going. All right, what is up? Keeping It Real Nation, coming at you with a fresh video today. We've got this post here by Dip Metaverse that's going to kick it off. So as a reminder, these are some important key dates that are right around the corner, right? Early February, we got phase 3 of the Happiness Project. February 1, we've got Sagantosu Fan Token. In March, we've got SDK API for the Jasmy Network release. And in late March, we have the Hokkaido Ballpark opening. Why that's relevant to Jasmy is they have a partnership with WITS for the entry-exit system at the Hokkaido Ballpark. So that is big-time news right around the corner, so stay tuned for that announcement. Outside of that, we have 3.6 billion tokens left to release. That's it. So in the grand scope of the 50 billion, that is next to nothing that's still out there. So that's a really good thing, especially for this chart moving in the upcoming market. We've got 43,000 wallets still climbing, so that's doing great. Think long term, right? Big time news. Now, moving up from there, we got this post here by Plan B. This is about the overall market, and it's talking about Bitcoin in particular. And so if you're not familiar with Plan B is famous for the stock to flow model that basically predicts the future value of Bitcoin by treating Bitcoin like a commodity. Now, in the chart he has below, he shows how he's tracked it throughout on where he thought it could go, essentially, and where it's actually tracked. Based on this information, he thinks that the bull market could be right around the corner. So if you're looking here at his chart, here's the zoomed in version. You can see the historical data where it kind of dips, and then it goes up from there. It dips, it goes up from there. We had the dip, and now does it go up from here? That's the big question. So, with Plan B, he took a lot of flack in 2022 because everybody said, your model's falling apart. It's not accurate, yada, yada, yada. There may be some truth to that. It may not be entirely accurate, but we also had a bit of an anomaly of 2022 being one of the worst investment years of the last 150 years. So, it could be part of that weighed on it also, and maybe Plan B is more accurate than we think. So to be determined, right? We'll see what happens there, but relevant nonetheless. The reason that's relevant to Jasmy is that Jasmy and the rest of the market, it kind of rides these Bitcoin pairs. A lot of coins are paired with Bitcoin. So when Bitcoin goes up, the whole market goes up. When Bitcoin falls, the whole market falls. So that's why that's relevant, right? Now, moving on up from there, here's a chart that I posted regarding the Bitcoin EMAs being on the verge of getting really bullish. So if we zoom it in here, what I was talking about here was this blue line, that's the 200-day moving average. We got the red line, the 20-day moving average, and we have the green line, the 50-day moving average. So when these cross, the red line goes over the blue line, that's a bullish cross. And when the green line goes over the blue line, that's also a bullish cross. That's the golden cross. That means we're really, really going big, right? It kind of looks like those are right around the corner. We're going to take a closer look at this in the actual TradingView chart in just a second. So this is just a screenshot from earlier on in the week, right? Moving on from there. So I had this post here about Jasmy where I said, nothing to see here. I sure wish Jasmy would wake up. Geez, what a lack of performance, right? Shh. Don't tell anybody. The reason I posted this is all over Twitter. There was a lot of bearish posts, oh, Jasmy's going bear, it's not going to work out. Yeah, it's going to retrace, start short selling it, right? Yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. There was a lot of that stuff that was going on throughout the week. And so I figured it was relevant to post a picture of the actual chart, which in my view, here are the trend lines. It's following those pretty closely. kind of going straight up. We've got significant green volume bars, means a lot of buying. Basically, for ever since 2023 started, Jasmy has just been doing great on that front. And so overall, it was looking really good earlier in the week there. All right. Now, moving on up from there, this came out. So I thought this was kind of cool. So I had never heard of this before, this Volcania app. It says new listing on Volcania Jasmy. Now, I think a lot of people in the community maybe miss this because I don't think, at least it doesn't appear that Volcania is any kind of exchange. You know, a lot of us in the Jasmy community are used to them getting new exchange listings, centralized exchange listings. That is not what this is. This here on the Volcania app is a dashboard. And so if we go over to the dashboard now, it's kind of all of the things that you would find on CoinMarketCap, just maybe in a more an easier to read format. Let's put it that way, right? So in the top left here, we've got, you know, what blockchain it's on. It's on Ethereum there, ERC20 token. Here's the contract address. You can follow that if you want. We've also got the chart here in trading view on the dashboard. So that's kind of cool. So you can kind of see it right there, what's happening. You can look at some of the recent trades. They're in here. We've got the market cap. We've got the total holders. So as of right now, 43,628. So that is very good overall. Still overall trending in the right direction. Very positive steps there. Moving on down, you know, there's transactions, holders over time. You can see where it goes up. It dips a little. It goes up. It dips a little. That's just kind of how the daily ins and outs are. And then the top 1,000 holder wallets are also in here. So pretty cool little dashboard. So I figured I'd give Volcania a little bit of a shout out here in this video. Thought that was pretty neat, right? Now coming back here to the feed. So scrolling on up from there, we had a post here by Jasmy US. Here's to a green weekend, as well as a post regarding the Jasmy Spaces call. So our call last week actually got canceled sort of last minute. Trying to make up the call this week. I'm going to try and get on these calls whenever I can. I may miss a few here and there, but we'll try to call in when I'm available for them. But just wanted to throw this out there that the call is going ahead this Sunday, so tomorrow. Wherever you're at around the world, here's the time for that it's posted at. For me here in the U.S., it's usually at about 5:30 Eastern. Wherever you're at, you can either call in live, listen to it, always a lot of really good speakers, or you can just simply listen back to the call later if you would like. All right. Now, moving on from there, I wanted to share this. So this is Jasmy.Global. So in a few of my videos recently, I talked about this because the Jasmy.Global, this website that we're on right now, was down, was not renewed, right? And I said, I thought maybe this was being sunsetted, maybe it was going away. And then lo and behold, it comes back. So one of the things I've talked about early on with Jasmy is this inconsistent messaging. And here's where I think this comes from, is I think that there is the team that we all know. There's the Japanese website. It is very pointed, right? It's going one direction. Then I think early on, there was potentially an investor or investors that sort of went their own way with it. So they put up this site like as if they're Jasmy. It's really kind of an irrelevant site overall. It really doesn't tell you a whole lot about anything, but you'll see the actual team on the Japanese site did endorse this at one point in time. So there's also in the past, the Jasmy League. That's another thing that kind of ties into this sort of this inconsistent line of messaging. And so anyways, the only thing about this entire site that really is relevant is if you scrolled all the way down this area here that we originally started on, blockchain stats. Now this also is not up to date. Okay. So I know right now that there are multiple users using the Sagan Tosu fan token app, aka the PDL. We also have the Happiness project going on. This does not show any active users. I don't think any of this information is accurate. And I was hoping that this would be accurate at some point in time, but it doesn't appear so. And so anyways, my point in all of this is that all of a sudden this page is back. It was down, right? I think it is still that original investor that is sort of trying to move Jasmy in a slightly different direction from the direction it's actually moving in. So that's why I wanted to highlight this in this week's video, is to say that this page is back up, but in terms of relevant information, really you should be going to the Japanese page, and you can easily just convert it into English and it works out just fine. So page is up, but I'd probably move on from this one, right? Now moving on from there, over here at Coin Market Cap, here are the current holders in Mount Jasmy. You can see we had a little bit of a dip over the last couple of days. If I zoom in here, here's kind of what it looks like. We went up, we had a little bit of dip, and look at that. Now we're going way up again. So what happened in the dip, right? Well, if we cruise over here to Trading View, here is the Jasmy chart. And if I zoom in on the Jasmy chart, here's how I see it. Okay, so I want to share this with you. So here are the various trend lines. You can see all the big green volume bars. Lots of buying volume has been going on here. We had a little bit of a dip. We went up, had a little bit of a dip, and we're still kind of cruising within this range right here. So overall, we're still very positive. It appears to me that whoever bought sort of moving up this line here potentially sold right about here. Quick in and out. This is what they refer to as scalping profits, is what happened here. So if I zoom out kind of at a little more of a macro view, this is where you can really see what was going on. So in the market cipher B, this is a really good indicator right here. I actually did a full video on this probably, I don't know, a year or two ago, but it's a great indicator here. And what we had here was a trigger wave. So we have a lower wave, and then we have a little bit shorter one. That's the trigger, right? It's kind of like a gun. So we got a trigger wave. That's your cue. If you wanted to do some kind of short-term trading on this, to potentially buy right there, you could have gone with it and see what happened, right? So it went up, it went up, it went above baseline, went all the way up here, right? So at the point that we had this right there, that was roughly about 0.0029, and then where it peaked out before it went red was right up here, 0.0055. So nearly doubling, right? So if you actually bought this right around here, then you could have nearly doubled and then sold. And it looks like that's exactly what happened. And you can see here in the market cipher where the momentum kind of dropped a little bit. We had this line that connected here. And so it's very possible that right about here, we had some selling going on with the chart, right? And so now if you're looking at the RSI, this is the relative strength index. Basically the entire month of January, we've been very, very positive, going straight up, right? Charts don't just go straight up. That's not how they work. I mean, some of them do have the God candle, and they actually do go straight up. But I would much rather see a chart sort of like this that's a slow build. That to me shows a lot more strength than a straight up chart. Okay, a straight up chart kind of shows me there's a lot of FOMO. Now, I wouldn't mind seeing that with Jasmy at some point, but that's not what this chart is, right? So we're building, and we're kind of in a little bit of an accumulation area, in my opinion, right now. Now, where could it go from here? Well, obviously right now we're almost oversold on the RSI, so we could definitely have another rebound here coming soon. Also, where it can go from here, if I zoom out, I want to show you the moving average. So there we go. So this blue line here is the 200-day moving average, right? The green line's the 50, the red line is the 20. In order for these to be bullish, the blue line needs to be on the bottom, the green line in the middle, and the red line on top. So our red and green lines are all the way down here. So in order to go bull, they need to be above this blue line that's all the way up at about 0.0103 or so. So it's possible that could be coming around the corner. Now, originally, I thought that this would happen probably somewhere between April and June. It kind of looks like that still could be the case, maybe even further into the summer. maybe even June, July, August, right? I've been kind of predicting that all along, and I thought it could really take off from there. Now, the X factor in all of this, though, is the actual Bitcoin chart. So let's go take a look at that. So if we go to the Bitcoin chart, here it is right now. And the Bitcoin chart is actually very bullish at the moment in terms of the overall macro trend. Now, you could say that, well, Jesse, there isn't a ton of volume here. That's true. But we did have a little bit of a good spike here. We definitely had a lot more green than we have red for pretty much the entire month of January, right? It's kind of like everybody decided to feel good now that it's a new year. So when you're looking at this, the first thing I see here is we had a bullish cross here, the 20-day going up across the 50-day. We had a second bullish cross here, the 20-day going over the 200-day. And if we can get the green line, the 50-day going over the 200-day, that would be the golden cross indication of the market really heating up. So where this could potentially cross, if you kind of look at it, like if you were almost drawing it out, it'd be like somewhere around here, right? So potentially next weekend, a little bit past next weekend, we could get a golden cross here with Bitcoin. And when that happens, the rest of the market could take off shortly thereafter. So whether it's next weekend or not, or shortly after next weekend, I am kind of thinking that the market is going to pump up at that point. So what it all means to Jasmy right now, I think the right now is a good consolidation time leading up to that. So it's a good thing we're consolidating now in the week before, right? Now, when we get those crosses, how far it goes from there, to be determined. That's really anybody's guess, I thought all along if we have good CPI news, inflation news, it continues to trend in the right direction, then we will go up. I still think that is the case. Overall, right now, looking at all the different trend lines, I don't really see any problem with where we're at. Even if we were to dip below this current trend line and still follow the next one, we're still doing pretty well overall. All right. So even though right now, as of the recording of this video, Jasmy's down, a little over 2%, I don't see a whole lot to be worried about in this. And, if your goal is to simply scalp profits, that definitely could have been done here. If you did a large buy anywhere down here and sold up here, that could have been done. But, I know for many of us, we're not really looking for the fraction of a cent gain. We're looking for a lot more than that. So anyhow, that is pretty much it for the bulk of the video. Now, I wanted to move on from here, kind of go down the rabbit hole of speculation in the final thoughts. All right, so in this video's final thoughts, I wanted to just kind of randomly speculate, right? Let's maybe just go down the rabbit hole a little bit on why are they so quiet? So when I was looking at the regular website, they really haven't posted since towards the tail end of December. So it's been about a month, which is kind of a long time for them. So what are they really working on right now? What's in the works? We know that they recently had Secure PC 2.0. Possibly, they could be working on the expansion efforts. They have made numerous comments about going global with Secure PC, as well as the Avita partnership, right? Getting into India. So I think all of that stuff could be happening right now. If you think about corporate travel, for example, and traveling from Japan to India, that's not like an overnight trip. That's probably something that takes a week. If you look at the overall timeline in terms of how quiet they've been, it's probably because they're doing those partnerships, that kind of marketing, right? I know in the past we've found a lot of AMAs in China in particular. Could there be other AMAs in India? Yeah, sure. Have I seen them? No. Has Hara posted about them? No. But could that be something that they might be working on? Maybe. I'm really not sure, right? If you also think about whenever they've gone quiet before, it's usually because they were announcing some kind of partnership, right? As I said earlier, Biomedica was an example of that with cell cultures. The National Carbon Credit Consortium is another example of that. Even when you think about that partnership and all the players that are involved, that's going to take some work also. So none of these partnerships are quick I mean, there's a backroom process, there's setup that has to occur. There's a lot going on here. And so I think some of that stuff could be in play. Then when you take a look at like Dip Metaverse's post, which was very, very timely, right? All the different things that are coming in February and March, they got to get this stuff right. And I've really been saying all along that, my only issues with Jasmy is, it used to be on the marketing side, right? The mixed messages. And I talked about that earlier in the video. That drove me crazy, the mixed messaging. And if you look at the actual team, the messaging is really good. If you look at whoever that player is that operates Jasmy.Global, not so much, right? So that was one of the things that bugged me a little bit. The thing with Hara being a little bit quiet, I don't really see anything in the description of a chief financial officer that you also have to tweet on a daily basis. The whole concept of it's a little bit ridiculous. Granted, we are trying to keep everybody in the loop for what's happening here with the project. But my biggest concern that I've always had has simply been execution, right? Because I think that Jasmy's a big idea, grand idea. I think it takes a lot of buy-in. I think it takes government support. I think they've got that. I think it takes a team with connections. They've got that too. But even still, even with all of that, the risk that I see here with Jasmy is simply execution. What if the product comes out and it's, falls flat, right? First impression. First impression means everything. That's extremely important. So it's critical that when these products roll out, that they're done right and they can show the use case later down the road for any other businesses that want to partner with them. That is the critical part. So it could be right now that they are focusing on the rollout and execution, specifically with Sagan Tosu, the fan token, getting all that right. This is just one little soccer or football team, depending on where you're at around the world, right? But could they use that idea with numerous other teams all over Asia? Absolutely, they definitely could. And so I think they got to get it right is my point. And so I'm not really concerned right now that everything's quiet. I even saw a post on CT just the other day where somebody else asked that same question. Are you concerned that it's private? Or that's quiet right now, right? And everybody who commented was like, nope, not at all. Now, I mean, if this was your everyday run-of-the-mill crypto, maybe I'd be a little bit concerned. But again, you look at it's the beginning of the year. One of the things I still would really like to see from them is a roadmap. That's definitely something that they could put out even when it's quiet is, here's a roadmap of kind of what we're working on this year, what our goals are. I would like to see that. Haven't seen that yet. So hopefully we can sort of keep partitioning, keep, that's not the word I'm looking for. Basically keep asking, keep tagging Hara in the post, asking for the roadmap. That's what we need to do, right? We need to keep, and not pestering, that's not the word. I can't think of the word, it's P word. Anyway, brain fart, that happens sometimes. But the bottom line here is we really need to keep asking for a roadmap for 2023. Now, the 2022 roadmap was, it left a little to be desired. If it really wasn't very specific, it was kind of general overall, a little bit generic. I would like to see a little more specifics in the roadmap if possible. What kind of partnerships we're targeting, what projects we're working on, some of those types of things. Now, remember this is a private company, but they are essentially publicly traded all over the world with cryptocurrency. So overall, in terms of the chart, I thought the chart, it can't go straight up forever. All right, no chart can. And I would rather have a steady buildup than a straight up God candle blast off. Now, don't get me wrong, I still want the God candle blast off with Jasmy, and I still think that will happen. But in the meantime, I would like a steady buildup. It's okay if we consolidate a little bit here. Like I showed you with the Bitcoin chart, I think that overall, the market as a whole is definitely kind of teeing up for that rebound that I've been talking about for quite a while. So that's all still good, still in the works. And so right now, with everything quiet, speculation is kind of all over the map of what could be happening. Now, also something else to consider our last video, I think it was the last video, it was either that one or the one before it, I talked about Intel Japan getting really interested with Jasmy and Platinum Data. We've talked about with the Hokkaido Ballpark, Panasonic. And I've also seen on CT Wits, their partner Wits that does the entry-exit system as well as that did the road test, has had a few conferences in Japan coming out. And I know those conferences, Jasmy usually has some sort of a booth. In my last video, I showed how Wits was setting up a different office in Tokyo that directly tied back to Jasmy through their joint hiring that they were doing, right? So there's a lot going on right now under the surface, and if Hara isn't posting, I think that's because it could be any of those various items that we just discussed. So overall, not really anything bearish, bullish, whatever. In terms of the overall market's heating up. So however you play Jasmy is totally up to you, whatever your goals are here. If you want to buy it at 0.002 and sell at 0.003, hey, it's up to you, right? Me personally, I'm kind of more of a big picture, more of a macro guy. I look at the long-term trends, and that's kind of where my focus is. So as things change long-term, we'll be looking at that, specifically those moving averages. I think that's really important overall. All right, so that's it for this week's video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to hit the like button. We will also definitely try to get on the Jasmy Spaces call this Sunday, so hopefully we don't have any kind of cancellation there. We want to keep the call going, but one thing for the community out there that you got to realize with the call is that sometimes there isn't a whole lot to talk about when there's no news from the team. I mean, we could speculate for hours and hours and hours, but kind of what good does that do, right? So last call got canceled. This call is on, so there should be a call this Sunday. Just heads up for that. Don't forget that I'm also on Twitter at KIR Finance. You can find me there. Check out my website. It's right here with QR code. That'll take you directly to the website. You can check that out. Follow us, support us, whatever you want to do. And lastly, for a friendly reminder, this is Jesse with Keeping It Real Finance. Channel values is your back. Tells it like it is. And I will see you on the next one. Later.